Christianity has shaped much of the modern world in ways that often go unnoticed. From human rights to scientific progress, its impact runs deep, influencing how societies think, live, and grow even today. A fish in a pond can't grasp the world outside its tiny bubble. It doesn't know its place or context, and its entire existence depends on the water around it. Taking it out of that setting, factual, society works that same way. People often criticize their culture without realizing how deeply it shapes them. For Western civilization, Christianity is that water. But how did a carpenter's son reshape history? Not through wealth or power, but with a message so compelling that people couldn't stop sharing it. Christianity shaped Western philosophy, thoughts, and the social structures in ways that are hard to untangle. Even societies that claim to have moved on from it still carry its blueprint. While exploring religions, Christianity and Buddhism stand out. Both transcended specific cultures, but Christianity's simplicity sets it apart. Unlike other faiths, it doesn't impose strict rituals or rules on food, hygiene, or associations. Instead, it adapts and reshapes cultures profoundly. C.S. Lewis once said, "Christianity starts with comfort during tough times, but rewires a person's entire personality over time so subtly they don't even notice." Christianity's reach wasn't limited to the West. Its early followers were in Africa and Asia, and today, most Christians live outside the West. In fact, Western countries like Britain and Australia are rapidly losing their Christian identity. For the first time in centuries, the heartlands of Christendom are no longer majority Christians. Books like Dominion by Tom Holland highlight how Christianity built many of these values people now consider natural, like human rights and justice. Even as societies drift away from the faith, its imprints remain. In 3380, Emperor Tiberius ruled over 75 million people in an empire stretching from Britain to Arabia. In a small province, a carpenter's son was crucified, a minor event to rulers like Tiberius or Pontius Pilate. But for a small group of followers, it marked the start of something that would reshape the world over the next 300 years. The Roman Empire of Jesus' time resembled modernity in some ways. It was stable, wealthy, and thriving, but its elite had become decadent. Luxuries like imported ice, peacock feasts, and gladiator games defined their lifestyle. Emperors like Nero and Caligula, consumed by indulgence, became infamous for cruelty driven by an emptiness that nothing could fill. In Judea, a deeply conservative province, the Jewish population clung onto their identity through strict customs, resisting Roman assimilation. Jesus emerged in this setting. His real name, Yeshua, or Josh in English, was unremarkable, but his impact wasn't. He was among the first major historical figures from a humble background, unlike most who came from privilege. His teachings, though dismissed at the time, laid the foundation for a faith that transformed the world. Jesus brought together two of the most advanced philosophies of his time, Jewish ethics and Greco-Roman logic. The Old Testament chronicled the Jewish people's connection with God, shaped by constant threats they couldn't overcome through power alone. Their faith and cultural cohesion made Judaism resilient but exclusive, with practices like circumcision and dietary laws creating barriers for outsiders. The Greek and Romans, meanwhile, had advanced philosophical systems, but a hollow religious foundation. They leaned towards universal ideas like Stoicism and sun worship, but lacked a unifying conviction. Their gods became more symbolic than spiritual, leaving their society spiritually unfulfilled. Jesus stood out by merging Jewish ethical principles with Greco-Roman universalism. His teachings, like treat your neighbor as yourself, resonated across cultural lines. He made love the cornerstone of his message and an idea that was revolutionary. Christianity welcomed people from all walks of life, unlike most religions tied to specific regions or bloodlines. This was especially significant in a Roman Empire where up to 25% of the population were slaves. Christianity gave slaves dignity and hope. This approach often changed how masters treated them. Christianity's stance on sexual ethics also set it apart. In the Roman system, women had little control over their bodies and female slaves were exploited. Christianity introduced monogamy and sexual restrictions that protected women, creating a framework where their dignity was valued. These changes also gave lower-class men the opportunity for meaningful relationships. Women played a crucial role in spreading the faith, often converting influential figures like St. Augustine. For many, Christianity was a transformative force offering rights and protection they had never experienced before. In 1400, women in much of the world faced harsh realities. They were often married off as teenagers, confined to their homes, and stripped of basic rights. Practices like widow burning, foot binding, and female genital mutilation were widespread in non-Christian societies. Pre-industrial Christian societies, however, generally treated women better. The rise of Christianity coincided with the Roman Empire's collapse during the 3rd century, when plagues, invasions, and the wars reduced the population by a third. Emperor Diocletian's attempt to revive traditional gods failed, but Constantine embraced Christianity, making it the empire's official religion by the 330s. Christianity's rapid rise shocked many. Within a few decades, it transformed from a persecuted minority to the dominant faith, even outlawing pagan practices. Roman culture, corrupt and decayed, offered little resistance to Christianity's fresh appeal. Tribal warlords replaced Rome's old elites, and the church's bureaucratic structure, modeled on the empire, helped it adapt and thrive. Historians note that the upper classes converted first, starting a ripple effect through society. Interestingly, pagan came to mean country dweller, as paganism retreated to rural areas. Once in power, Christians initiated moral reforms. Gladiatorial games were banned, and charitable efforts became so effective that famine disappeared in wealthier regions. Over centuries, slavery was gradually phased out, but debt slavery abolished much earlier. The church introduced bankruptcy, replacing brutal debt repayment systems found in other countries. Critics like Edward Gibson argued that Christianity weakened Rome's warrior culture, contributing to its fall. Others point out that the empire had already lost its moral foundation. In a crumbling world plagued by invasions and poverty, Christianity gave people hope and community. Saints performed miracles, relics inspired devotion, and the church received vast donations from wealthy families. Modern anthropology has highlighted that Christian societies develop unique traits often grouped under weird, Western-educated, industrial, rich, and democratic. These societies stand out for emphasizing individual freedom over rigid family roles or gender-based hierarchies. Christianity's push for social trust and reducing cruelty played a key role in setting these societies apart. The idea that everyone is equal before God was groundbreaking. Before Christianity, legal systems treated people differently based on their social class. Christianity challenged this by teaching that all individuals, regardless of their status, are equal in God's eyes. This radical idea eventually influenced secular laws and became the foundation for concepts like liberalism and human rights. Another major change Christianity brought was dismantling rigid clan structures that had dominated societies for centuries. By banning cousin marriages around the year 600, the church weakened the traditional clan system. Today, secular ideologies can be just as rigid, suppressing dissent in controversial areas. Despite its challenges, Christianity's contributions to science, morality, and freedom remained unmatched, offering lessons even in the modern ages. Christianity has influenced history and modern life in countless ways. But which do you think is the most lasting impact? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights.